everyone, and welcome to another video. I am Simply G, and today I'm going to be doing a sort of vlog type video with regards to my figure collection. I did a similar one when adding lights to the cabinet that I keep my figures in, but today I'm going to be talking about how I display my figures, what I use in order to do them, and also how I sort of look after my figures. So probably not something everybody is interested in, and people who also collect a lot of figures probably know a lot of these things, but I thought might as well. I'm going to be doing that today anyway, so yeah, I just decided to film it for you guys, and I hope you guys can enjoy, and I'll just get straight into it. So if you are displaying multiple figures within one space, like I do, so I will have, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even more figures within a shelf, most people, myself included, like to add some sort of level element to there, so they raise certain figures higher and you create a much more uncluttered feel, even if there are many figures in that space. And a lot of people use acrylic risers to achieve this. So obviously acrylic plastic, they are clear and really don't weigh a huge amount, so you can use them without a problem. My biggest issue with acrylic risers is that they're fairly expensive and hard to find where I live. So some people are very fortunate, they can just pick some up from local stores and it's not a huge deal, but what I do is I actually use glassware, usually things that are designed for small areas, whether that be shot glasses or candle holders or small dishes, anything like that. I know that IKEA has a lot of different types of those things, but a great place to get some of those types of items is secondhand stores. So today I just got a couple different things. So you can see I have a couple different size of small glasses there. I also got this dish. All of this needs to be washed because I literally just got these this afternoon. And I got 2 in the set. I got 6 with this set, and this is on its own. So in addition to the things I already have, this will allow me a lot more flexibility with how I want to show off my figures. Again, super easy. They're very cheap. I got all 9 of these items for $5, so obviously less than $1, almost 50 cents each. Yeah, so it's a really great way you can save a little bit of money, especially if you are on a tight budget. They're super easy to clean, and I've found in my experience that it doesn't really add a huge amount of extra weight strain onto a shelf, so you should be fairly okay. You don't have to worry about overloading shelves when you're using these. So some of the other things I use are small, like very small glasses that look like wine glasses but are about this actual size with being able to hold liquid. And candle holders are a big one that I use either for tea lights or for just normal candles. I think they're really great, and again, all very easy to find on the cheap, whether that be in store or at your local secondhand store. I bought these today from Good Sammy's, which is obviously secondhand store here in Australia, and it's great because, as I said, it's everything there is so cheap, and even if you don't end up using them, for me, glassware, I can always use, so even if I'm not necessarily using them for display purposes, they will still find a spot within the house. If we look at my actual display right now, you can see there I have current glass risers. Those are, again, candle holders. And the main reason I bought some more today is because I'm wanting to redo how I do this shelf down here, because I really am not happy with the actual amount of things I have used to raise up these particular figures and their configuration currently. So I'm hoping to improve that today, and maybe also this bottom shelf here, just add a little bit more of lift to this particular sword boy especially. So nothing major changing in here today, but I did want to mention sort of my thoughts on why I chose these things and how easy it is to be able to readjust this type of display. Now, when it comes to cleaning the figures themselves, or whenever I want to readjust the display within my cabinet, I take all of the figures out, I give them a good dusting, and I also wipe down the glass shelf itself with a microfiber cloth dry, just so it can pick up all of the dust. It won't leave any, wet marks there. And by dusting these figures, I just use a old or cheap makeup brush and just run it over the figures themselves. It's amazing how much these little things can actually pick up. And these figures, while they are behind glass, I do have to dust periodically, not all that often. It has been a little while. And if you want to do the base with a microfiber cloth, that's also a really simple way to do it. But here you can, I don't know if you can even tell, but a lot of that dust from that jacket is gone. And especially because Rin obviously is wearing black, you can notice it quite a bit. So that took, 10 seconds, 20 if you want to be really thorough. And yeah, it really helps to periodically, not incessantly, but periodically dust your figures from time to time, because if you can get light dusting done early, it prevents heavy dust buildup, and then it's a lot harder to actually clean them. Sometimes if they've been, not dusted for a long time, especially if they're out in the open, figures can actually have that dust sort of stick to them, and you'll have to actually wash them, give them a proper bath with soap and water to fix it. So, as I said, if you can just invest in a cheap little makeup brush and dust them whilst you have the time, whether it's a couple minutes, every couple months, it's not a huge deal, and you'll save yourself a lot of hassle in the long run. I think for me, the most notable dust I usually find is on the bases, but a lot of times it does build up in shoulders and neck creases and that sort of thing as well. And of course hair, having it be designed and sculpted. So finally, it is really easy for dust to just get caught in these types of ridges here. So yeah, and I mean with Makoto, because he has his arms folded, this is just like the perfect area for dust to get caught. And if you do have very, a lot of figures with a lot of detail, this is just a really, really gentle way to clean up as well. You don't have to worry about risking breaking off small parts and possibly ruining the figure that you have. Whether that be like tiny little hair and like flyaway pieces, whether that be jewelry or ruffles or costume design or anything. It's just really, really super duper easy to do it with one of these, and it cleans up really quickly, as I said. All of this stack of stuff that you see here is actually what I was using before in order to display these 6 figures. As you can see, there's a lot. There's actually 4 of these glass plates down here, 3 of these candle holders, and then 2 of these candle holders, which is a lot. I think it does clutter up the space a bit too much, so I am going to be replacing them, as I said. If you are just cleaning out your display, it's always a good idea to give these things either a wash and a dry, or just to dust them off again with a microfiber cloth before you replace them inside, just so again you just get rid of all of that dust. I did want to mention just in regards to dusting your figures, if your figures are not in a cabinet or behind glass, you will have to dust them more regularly, but again, don't be too worried about it. Of course, it depends on your sort of situation, what the weather and what the type of air and how dusty you live will affect all of that. But just keep an eye on things, because it is usually the ones that are out in the open that people forget about and don't get around to cleaning up that do end up like absolutely caked in dust and dirt. So if that does happen, as I said, it's not a horrible idea to wash them just with soap and water, very gentle soap, if you must, but again, just a bit of preventative maintenance happens to help a lot. But as I said, for a display, a lot of glass pieces, I'm going to be using these ones that I got today from the secondhand store, and because I literally just picked them up, you can see they're still very dirty, so I'm going to give them a wash, and then I'm going to figure out how I want to organize this particular shelf of figures. Okay, so I've washed my little glasses that I'm going to be using. They're not perfectly clean. They have a little bit of, you can see like dust is still on this one. And if I don't end up using them and you are wanting to add them to just like your normal cups and saucers and glasses, then I would recommend you dishwash them first properly, because with my cleaning of these ones, it was just cold water, not even soap, so not a big deal if you're using it for figures, but if you're wanting to actually consume food and drink from them, I would recommend you actually like giving them a proper cleaning. But yeah, I'm going to go straight into figuring out how I want to do this, and yeah, I'm going to cut to that right now. Here's the space that I'm wanting to fix up, and I actually, whilst I dusted this shelf, I adjusted it one notch down, so it's a little bit lower down on these guys' heads, but it means that I have more room to work with these larger glasses. I don't think they would have fit within the previous setup, and you can see there's plenty of room up the top whilst using them. So that's a real big plus for me. And again, as you can see, I mean, super easy. Just put them, stand them like that, no problem. Make sure they're well balanced, so one side isn't leaning. You're not going to end up with any sort of falling and breaking, and you should be set right. The great thing about using glasses is that if you do have foot pegs, like so, that are usually, you know, an adjusted height from this part of a base compared to the outer rim, it means that you don't have to worry about keeping it balanced if you just put the foot pegs within the, you know, hole of the glass, rather than having it wobbly as well. So yeah, just some super duper easy ways to use that, and that's why I do use small glasses usually. Now I've put some of these figures in already, and you can see that it does look a little bit unbalanced here. Ray is fairly well put, but that's because his foot pegs are right in the middle of his base. Now Nagisa's are sort of one side, and then so is Ren's. He really only has one foot with a foot peg, and the same with Sasuke. He was putting more of his weight on this leg, and when that's the case, you can't just put these glasses just straight in the middle, because they do become wobbly and unbalanced. So I always put the sort of weight-bearing dominant peg leg within that glass. So it does become a properly balanced figure. So you can see, even though like there's a huge amount of space from the middle to where this cup is actually sitting, these figures have no problem standing. They're not going to be toppling over anytime soon. So very, very happy about that. Okay, so I'm all done. As you can see, I used 2 of those larger glasses and the 2 short glasses, nothing else within this case, but I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. I really like the configuration of it now compared to before. It's not absolutely perfect, but I think with sort of the amount of figures and their posing, this is probably the best I'm going to be able to do with these guys. So I'm actually really satisfied with how this part turned out. I may add a little bit of, I don't know, decoration or something in here just to fill this middle space. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So that is everything that I wanted to show you in this blog with regards to displaying and looking after my figures and my figure collection. It's not something that everyone will be interested in, but I have gotten quite a few questions over the years on just how I display the figures that I have, how I look after them, so hopefully this answered some of those questions. And whilst they are fairly simple and I would say common sense solutions to certain things, they're certainly not things that I invented or came up with. It hopefully gives you just an idea of how I work on that certain corner of the collection, because it is important to me that they look nice, that the overall display of that does have some sort of cohesiveness to it without distracting you from the real point of having a figure, which is to sort of marvel at the craftsmanship and to have a 3-dimensional token almost of your favorite characters. So yes, hopefully that will help some of you guys out, and I will catch you in the next video, guys. As always, my Twitter is in the description below, as is my Book Depository affiliate link, which is not really relevant to this video, but it is there if you're wanting to use it. I will catch you in the next video, guys. Bye till then.